Girls, it's that time again to react to some more popular YouTuber and setup streamers. You can do just much anything. Yo, this man's gotta be capping, right? Like, if that's the cost of his setup, that can't be true. But if it's the entire room, then I guess it can be, but $30,000 is a lot of money. So let's go ahead and take a look at his in-depth desk tour. Yo, okay. That's literally the first thing that stood out to me is that massive 49-inch, it's gotta be a 49-inch ultra-wide, super ultra-wide in vertical mode. This guy's probably looking at the monitor like this. Let's continue with the setup tour.
Since I have my monitors mounted to my desk, in the middle I have these adjustable desk legs. At IKEA, they don't sell it anymore. However, I do recommend the Olov as an alternative. Finally, for the countertop, it's the Ekbacken countertop. Unfortunately, it is
it's a solid countertop.
It does look really clean with the marble finish. I think it's a really good budget alternative to the highly popular Carlby at about half the price. Moving on, let's talk about the stuff I have behind my setup. A lot of people ask about these wall panels. They are this light gray color and I have them raised off the wall. To get them raised off the wall, I used a 74-inch by 43-inch piece of plywood.
That's pretty cool.
And I used a 65-foot Govee LED strip all the way around.
So you added some spacing behind the panels to add a bit of RGB lighting. Looks like that's only visible on the edges, not so much in the center, unless you raised all the hexagon panels actually from left to right. But he's only able to add the RGB strips on the outer edges. Of course, that makes the most sense. So you can kind of see the bleeding of the lighting. My boy Havoc actually did a phenomenal job with his hexagon panels. His was on another level, but it's really cool to see something similar done by Low.
At the top, I have these black shelves from IKEA, one being 74 inches and the other one being about 43 inches, something like that. Something that's actually pretty interesting is that they don't level out, so they're not at the same exact height.
Ooh, what was that?
Something that's actually pretty interesting is that they don't level out, so they're not at the same exact height.
That's a very minor nitpick. I can also see, if you look really closely, you can see some of the hexagon panels not exactly even. That's just like super minor nitpick stuff, but I think they came out really nice.
It's actually okay though, because you can't really tell as the 49-inch monitor blocks the way.
It is a 49-inch monitor.
These cherry blossom leaves, a keyboard, and also a couple IKEA plants. Oh yeah, and my boy Elmo. I didn't want to put too much up here.
Elmo got crucified or something, man.
Keyboard, and
the guy's got X's on his eyeballs.
Oh yeah, and my boy Elmo. I didn't want.
What did he do to you, Elmo?
I want to put too much up here as I've seen people do it and it be cluttered. I wanted to show off the RGB up there, but I also
it looks nice. He definitely did a good job decorating it.
Something interesting about the outer glow with the LED strips. So originally I had some bleed through the panels from the LED strips. You could see the hot spots and it kind of looked a little tacky. Yeah. So what I ended up doing was putting these white pieces of paper around the edges where you can't see them on the outside. However, if you kind of get close to the wall and look behind it, you
that's smart.
Paper there. Basically just blocks.
It helps diffuse the lights a little bit.
Bleed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can tell that there's a massive difference and it looks way better with the paper. And for the final part of the wall, the centerpiece of it all, the LED clock.
That's a nice clock.
For under $30, it's such a good item to add to a setup. It looks so clean and I am very happy with it. Now let's move on to the monitors. I have 3. Personally, it's the best middle ground between a lot of screens, but not too much. Yes, I'm aware that I have a vertical 49-inch monitor. So
do tell me why, Lo. I'm actually very curious why you have this monstrosity of a monitor in a vertical position. This thing is a freaking Eiffel Tower on your desk. There's no way you can take advantage of the top third of it by sitting down at least. If you're standing, obviously you can probably reach up there, but it just seems so uncomfortable and not practical at all. So I'm really curious to hear what you got to say about this.
Oh, I can't really talk. I want it to be unique, okay? The 49-inch vertical is essentially 2 vertical 27-inch monitors stacked. At the bottom I have OBS and at the top I put Discord. Anyways, my main monitor is a 1080p 240 Hz.
Wait, that's it? You didn't really like dive in deep. Like, so you have Discord on the top. Do you actually see the text from Discord, and you have to like lean forward when you're typing? I'm really curious how it actually, how the synergy is while you're actually using the setup.
Anywhere monitor. I would love to upgrade to 1440p or 4K soon. Would want a 240 Hz or up monitor, but that will have to wait. Rounding out my somewhat unique monitor layouts is my last monitor. I use it for Spotify and to tab to my friend's stream. It is a BenQ 144Hz 1080p monitor and it is IPS, So although it does have a weird viewing angle, it still looks good. All of the monitors are mounted on Vivo monitor mounts that are linked in the description.
So let's talk a little bit about the monitors. Lo said he wanted to go with something a little bit more unique, and I think he definitely nailed that aspect of the setup. You don't get to see this many types of setups on Setup Wars. Usually you get the traditional like symmetrical layout, you know, when you have monitors close together with no like gaps between. I think one of the reasons this setup stood out to me the most when he submitted was how all his monitors.
I like the twin deck now because it's like, I don't know how many times I get it, but that's very useful. Like, but down here, it came at around $500 for me, so I did not get that. So yeah, I like the mouse pad, and the case is nice. So my top case.
Monitors are kind of like in different locations, and that's not to say it's a bad thing. Everyone's different, obviously. This is what he prefers, and if it's functional for him, then you know, it might not be the cleanest and the coolest looking, in my opinion, because it's not symmetrical and stuff, but you know, if this is how he likes the monitor set up, then you know, that's his choice. But I want to talk more about the 49-inch ultra-wide at the end when I'm kind of reviewing the setup, but let's just continue.
For my case, I use the ever so famous TikTok case, the Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic.
This man did not just call the 011 Dynamic a TikTok. I'm quitting this freaking.
Well, he called undoubtedly because that case was popularized by TikTok. So yeah.
Series.
This is Webflow.
I believe Lo called this case the TikTok case. Is that what everyone's calling it on TikTok? Because this case from Lee & Lee existed before TikTok was even cool. Okay, let me tell you something. Us PC enthusiasts or gamers will find some offense if, for anyone that calls this the TikTok case.
I don't think anyone takes offense to that because it's true. It did popularize by TikTok. So yeah.
I think Lee & Lee will also find it kind of disrespectful, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. This is the Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic, and it should be called that, not a TikTok case, in my opinion.
Lee & Lee 011 Dynamic in white. My CPU is the 5950X, which is a beast of a processor. Damn. 16 cores, 32 threads, which is crazy overkill for streaming. For my GPU, I have an Asus Strix 3090. It is so beautiful, and I have basically no limitations for gaming. Yet, all I play is Valorant. I'm sorry.
This man's played Valorant on a 3090. I'm about to cut someone right now. At least he's not playing Minecraft. It could have been worse.
Gigabytes at 4000 megahertz. My motherboard is my recent upgrade, the Royal 64 gigabytes at 4000 megahertz. My motherboard is my recent upgrade. It's the Dark Hero X570, and it is so beefy. For fans, I have 9 in total, 3 LO120s in black, 3 QL120s in white, and 3 ML120s connected to my radiator.
Well, okay, first of all, some beast specs, my guy. Holy bejesus. Something I didn't notice though is your fan configuration. It's interesting. So let's go back here a little bit. So he's got 3 fans in the front reversed. So these are essentially exhaust fans. Typically when people put fans in the front, they're supposed to be intake. And then he kind of offsets that by putting 3 more intake fans on the top.
20s in black, 3 QL120s.
And then the bottom fans are also, looks like they're intake. I think, yeah, they're intake as well. So a very interesting fan configuration. It's not something I recommend because obviously hot air rises, so you kind of want to follow the natural direction of air. So, you know, intake in the front, intake in the bottom, and just exhaust all the hot air out. But, you know, if his temps are okay, then I guess that's fine.
Yes, I know my bottom LL120 isn't working. I'll fix that later. The next category I want to talk about is my lights. I have a lot of lights in my setup. The back RGB strip on my desk is an Elgato light strip. Behind my monitors are the Govee light bars, and the last major light that I have is an Elgato key light, which I use for streaming. Now, audio, a lot of times people ask me about my mic. I use the popular Shure SM7B with an Elgato boom arm. Might be the best boom arm I've used, by the way.
It's a solid boom arm.
My XLR cable and a Go XLR for my interface / mixer. For the last thing, it is mostly miscellaneous things, peripherals, accessories. My keyboard is an NK65 aluminum and silver
nice.
with tangerines.
I feel like there is so much on camera and there's very little B-roll. Like as much as
the entire flipping time I just turned off my echo. I feel so stupid. But anyway, let's go. Oh my god.
I love looking at your beautiful face, Lo. I want to see more of this setup. I feel like there's just not enough B-roll shots in here.
It's an hour and 11 minutes in, and I just noticed like a second ago it was echoing that whole time. I feel stupid. Oh, damn.
The ratio is off, is all I'm saying.
Lubed with Crytox 205 grade 0. Keycaps are PBC katakana, and I bought a
That's a clean keyboard build, yeah. Matches the mouse pad,
and of course
matches the mouse
on the
really
right
good.
side of my keyboard. Should I sell these again? Moving on to my mouse, I have two, both wireless, one being my custom Razer Viper Ultimate made by Nacho
dope.
Customs. It has a little Kiowa shadow here, and it has my logo.
That's dope. The logo lights up. That's
dope.
dope.
My White G Pro Superlight, which I do main, and I use that most of the time. I do have a cheap white soundbar that I use. I used to have really expensive speakers, but this was only like $20, and I wanted something that didn't take up too much space, but better than monitor speakers. Plus, it looks clean. I also have.
So he had expensive speakers, and he downsized to a single, cheaper, I guess, soundbar. Kind of seems like a very similar situation to mine, where I downgrade. I keep saying downgrade.
Elgato, but I highly recommend